we're going to work on today is going to be called moving ball, or moving ball. I just clicked on it, and yep, it's open already. Of course, I keep clicking on it, it's already open. Alright, so this one's called Move Ball. It's an animation. Let me show you what we're going to build so you can see the end product first. And in here, it's an older project if you download the solution. This is what we're building. Today's all about fun apps. Today's about animation, video, audio, and stuff like that. See the balls moving down from the screen?
This looks like the new background of iOS 7.
Kind of something like that, yeah. Anyway, it's a bunch of balls moving down. Now, you see the flicker? We have a little problem with the garbage collection. The longer this goes, actually, the whole thing is going to crash eventually. But it could go for like maybe an hour. So, but what I want to do is just show you the technique. So you may not necessarily keep this app. The app is real simple. It takes, maybe a half hour at the most to put together. So let's go ahead and see how that works. If you download this solution, you'll get the ball. There's one PGN file. Hold on one second. Let me get those people to stop playing basketball. Okay, so enough of the basketball. This is supposed to be a golf ball, by the way, which is actually, I guess, kind of appropriate. You can use any ball you want for this tutorial, but if you download the solution file, you'll get the GUI that goes with it. So. Alright, so what we're going to do is open up and create a brand new Xcode project, and this one's going to be a single view application. So create a new Xcode project, single view application, and click on next. And I'm going to call this move balls or something, animation or something. And it's going to be for the iPhone. And I'm going to leave all the defaults the same way that they are. Go ahead and click on next. Save the project to your desktop. I'm going to try and move a little quick today because this is we have a lot to get through, and you guys should have done this like 1,000 times already throughout the end of this course. So, I mean, this is not the first time you've created an app. Alright, so I'm going to assume that you've remembered how to do that. So we're going to add some code to the viewcontroller.h file. What we're going to do is create a local instance of a UI image, because that little ball is a UI image, but we have like several of those images. So we just repeat the same image. We just keep putting it out is how this animation sort of works. So the variable type is a UI image. We put a pointer in here because that's how we define variables in Objective-C. We're going to call it ball image. So go ahead and copy and paste, and let's go back to view controller. So open up viewcontroller.h. We haven't done anything to the UI yet, by the way. We don't necessarily have to. So in between the interface and the end, we're going to put an opening and a closing bracket in there. And we're going to stick the variable right there in the middle. So I have an UI image, and it is called ball image. So this is the one we're going to use to hold that PNG ball file. And we put the opening and closing brackets in here, by the way, again, because we're declaring a piece of data, a data member, versus one of the prototypes or something else we put in here. Alright, so now we're going to add a property for the ball, which is showing you yet something new. Each one of these tutorials brings in a kind of a new element, some learning experience. And this one is going to be that property for the UI image. Which means the property is going to give us our setters and getters, our get ball, set ball, our, UI image. That's bound to that. So go ahead and paste that line of code in here. So we've created a property, unless you want to type it in, at property. This is just the default, which probably will end up going away in future because it's not really used anymore. It's part of the garbage collection. Retain means don't garbage collect me. So remember in the beginning when I said those balls are just going to run until the thing runs out of memory? Because it's creating ball after ball after ball after ball after ball, and it's being retained, which means we're going to fill up the memory one ball at a time. Because we keep adding balls to it, and adding balls to it, and adding balls to it. Eventually, if we let that app run long enough, it's going to run out of memory. Because this is an old style app that used retain and release, and did not, we could put automatic garbage collection on it, but just remember, if you take away anything, that retain is going to make it so those balls are never garbage collected. So you'll see what happens. It's kind of a twofold app. Change the retain if you want to fix your app, but we're purposely putting that in there just to show you that what happens when you retain things and you create things over and over again. Eventually you will run out of memory. You can watch the whole thing go down and crash on you if you want. Anyway, you could easily fix that by fixing that line of code. Just pull the retain out, change it to release, or put it to something. Anyway, so we're going to have a method prototype for onTimer. We have one for onAnimationComplete. So go ahead and copy the other two lines in here as well, and I'll talk about those in a second. And I see I'm going to have a few things to fix here. Okay, so we have one method prototype that we're going to add called onTimer. So on a timer, we're going to create a new ball and put a new ball out there. And then on animation complete, when the ball is done, we're going to have a finished. These are parameters that were added in here. We have two parameters, and we have a return type for void on here, so it's not going to return anything. And we've got a finished context, so when the ball's done or the ball is complete, we're going to start a new ball and a new ball and a new ball. So we'll see this come together in a few minutes. So when you click on the view controller, well, we don't have the XIB file. This is an older tutorial. What we have is the storyboard file. So let's go ahead and open that up, and we're going to wire the view controller, the view, I should say, to the view controller.h file. Let's see, we're going to call it ball view. So let me show you what that means real quick here. So we're going to create the balls programmatically. We're not going to have an image view on the canvas, but instead we're going to take the canvas and add a bunch of balls to it as we go through the process. So if you click on the storyboard, you get the storyboard view up here. I'm going to leave it alone and click on the tuxedo icon to bring up the viewcontroller.m. Excuse me, viewcontroller.h is what I want. Bring up viewcontroller.h. So we're back in here. And I'm going to put this underneath my other property. I'm going to click over here, the view. So I've got the, it's not the view controller, but the view inside. And if you control drag it this way, it should say UI view as the type. If it says UI view controller, it's wrong. Or if it says something else, you're wrong. But I clicked inside of the view. It's not blue, so it's not the controller. I just want the view. And I believe we're going to call this ball view, but let me just take a look. Yeah, it's going to be called ball view, so it matches the rest of our code. So I'm going to call it ball view. And see where it says storage strong? Just leave that alone. We're playing with everything is strong and everything's going to be retained, which means it's not going to be garbage collected either ever. So, long story short, we are creating garbage with this. So, you should have something that looks like this. And when you click on it, it should bring up the view. So it should highlight the view. Because it's the view that we're going to add the balls to. Yes?
What if we change it to weak instead of strong?
I'll leave it on strong. Because we're retaining everything. If we're retaining all the balls that are inside of it, if we keep it on strong, it won't get garbage collected either. You might end up with an error message if you make it weak. Because it could possibly get garbage collected. Weak says, when I'm not being used, garbage collect me. Strong means never garbage collect me. Usually the view, while the app is running, never gets garbage collected. Because why would it want to? Why would you want to get rid of the view? Unless you were swapping with multiple views, then you'd make it weak. But in this case, our view is never going to go away. So the view by default is normally strong. So. All right. So now optionally, you can change the background color if you want. I'm just going to leave mine alone. I'm going to leave it white. So you can see the color being changed by the source code. So the source code is going to change the color of the background for us. So now we're going to edit the viewcontroller.m file, and we're going to take the viewDidLoad method, which starts automatically when the app boots up, and we're going to set the background color load the image, and then set the timer. And now we're going to add the following method to the top of the source code, and then leave the existing code in place. So obviously we want to synthesize the ball image. So go ahead and copy, or actually this one's easy enough, you could probably just type it in. So you know this ball image that we made a property out of here? We're switching over to viewcontroller.m. And in between the at implementation and the at end, we are going to paste this in and synthesize the ball image. That way we get our setters and getters. Now on the view did load, this is, in fact, just in case we have some pasting errors, I'm just going to show you the code here. We have, this is given to us automatically, the super view did load. But what we're going to do underneath is set the self view background color. So this is on our view. So we're self as us, we're the app. The view was that view that we just, we wired over to the ball view. And the background color, well, it's going to be UI color, red, color with red, green, blue, and alpha. So it's RGB colors. So instead of saying background color is equal to pink, we made up our own color. So if you adjust the color a little bit, it'll look different. So play around with the color. You don't want to make it too dark, because if you do, then you won't be able to see the ball through it. But I think the ball is a light color, which is why I did that. So, and then the ball is going to be equal to the ball with an image name ball.png. So this is where you're going to need to get a ball from somewhere. So we'll work with that in a few minutes here. And then the timer. Remember the stopwatch we did when we did a timer? Well, this is the same thing, NS timer. And then schedule timer with interval 0.08, 8.8 of a, well, it's a millisecond, 8 milliseconds. Self-selector, selector on timer, which means run on timer every 0.08 seconds. I think that's what that is. Don't quote me on that. It might be milliseconds. And then set the user information to nil. We're not going to pass anything to it. Repeat, yes. So every 0.08 time interval, it's going to go ahead and run this on-timer method. And then lo and behold, we have the on-timer method that we need to put in. And the on-timer method is going to take and allocate a new ball. See, we're allocating this and then we're retaining it. So this is where I was talking about. We're just creating new balls after new ball after new ball after new ball. So then after we create the ball, then we're going to have a starting position, which is going to be using a random position. So start X, end X, start and Y position. We're going to have a scale is going to be equal to 1 divided by this position here. Scale it down a little bit. Then we're going to set the ball view.frame, the frame, which is going to be a CG rectangular, we'll make a rectangle essentially. So we're going to make a rectangular frame, stick the frame on the view, stick the ball inside of the frame. So the frame is square, however the ball is round because that's the image we picked. So if you actually pick a square image, you'll get a square actually out there. So it all depends on the image that you're picking. And then we're going to add the subview, the ball view, and then we're going to take and begin the animation. Begin animation nil, context nil, which basically starts our timer, starts our animation. Let's set animation duration to 5 times the speed. I don't know where we put the speed in here, but we have the speed in here somewhere. In any case, the ball view.frame, well, the ball view, that's our view. So we made a local property. We made a local property of the view called a ball view. We're setting the frame to a certain size, and we're getting at the balls inside of the frame at a random location. And then we set animation delegate to self, and then commit animations. Which all of this stuff about these animations is essentially built-in functionality that we get to start the timer. So animations kind of set certain objects that fall into the same hierarchy and initializes them or makes them work. So long story short, it's an interesting method. And then the on animation, which is where this method is actually going to run, this one's going to set the oh, this is a fix actually for the, if we remove the from super view, we actually will fix the garbage collection issue. But on animation completes, where we're going to set this context view, we're going to, if we completed the animation, which means that the ball was actually put out there, we could remove the ball. So this is a way of solving that problem that I mentioned before about the balls being allocated and then retained, but never deallocated. This is actually only doing part of it. It's removing it from the view, but it's not garbage collecting it because we didn't implement our own garbage collector here. We're relying upon the automatic garbage collector. So if you paste this into the, and we're still actually working on the viewcontroller.m file. Let's see if I have any luck at copying and pasting. It's a very simple, that's all the code there is to it actually. So if we get rid of this view did load, I'm going to leave the warning here, memory warning. We paste the code in, and we're going to have a problem because we don't have the ball in this project. So you also have to take and put the ball inside of the project. So I'm going to pull the ball out of this moving ball. Or you can go and, here actually I'm going to take a new ball. So I'm just going to type in ball.png. Oh, look at that, we got tons of balls. Image here. Let's take this little soccer ball here. That's a big ball though. I don't know. The ball might be too big. Save. Let's see. Let's see what happens with this ball here. Might make for an interesting experiment here. So I saved it over here. So you have to copy something called ball.png, hopefully a smaller size ball. Copy it into the project so that when you run it, you'll have an image that shows up that comes down, drops down from the top to the bottom. See my little soccer balls? So there goes my soccer balls. So it's floating balls. What is it? It's just starting at a random position and it's coming down. So now you see that the screen is starting to flicker. So I could possibly fix that issue. Let's take a look down here. Clean up the animation by removing the ball from the super view. Let's see what happens now. Oops, it's going to give me a... Hold on one second. Let me fix this word wrapping. Let's see. On animation with ball. Oh, I didn't synthesize the ball. So actually, hold on a second. Undo. Ball view is not synthesized. I don't think it isn't. So if I put ball view in here, there we go. If you're going to uncomment that line, make sure to add the synthesize line to synthesize it, the property that we made for the ball view. Otherwise, you're going to get a slew of errors. So let's see if that synthesize actually does. Oops. Now I'm going to run it again and see if I still have my same problem with the flickering. So. There we go. So, it cleaned it up after one iteration. So, not a good solution. However, you get the point in terms of what causes the screen to flicker. It's because we keep putting it in there. But anyway, we're not cleaning anything up. So anyway, it was a simple experiment, not that big of a project, but a simple experiment to show you essentially the possibilities in animation. So we're going to stop this tutorial and start another one. I'm also going to stop this video.